Today, let's talk about a controversial topic. Should you file corporate bankruptcy for your small business?
I declare bankruptcy!
Before we get started, let me just say this. If you yourself individually believe that corporate bankruptcy is the right path for you, then you 100% must go speak with a licensed attorney in your state. At PRG, we are not attorneys, nor any of my employees. I myself nor any of my employees are attorneys. We strictly help negotiate problematic debt situations from a business and financial standpoint. But if you need corporate bankruptcy, you must get with a licensed attorney in your state. That's non-negotiable. So perhaps you're a small business owner and you're facing problematic debt situations, and maybe it's severe, maybe it's not so severe. You might be facing harassing creditor calls. Your vendors might be writing you emails and calling you every 5 minutes. Maybe it feels like cash flow is really tight.
Heard you're having money problems.
No, you didn't.
Listen, I got the answer. You declare bankruptcy, all your problems go away.
Your first instinct maybe not, but maybe I'm talking to those who feel the instinct to just immediately assume that bankruptcy is their only option, and know that it is an option, but it's also one component inside a broader restructuring strategy. Regardless of the path that you take, I would still think, without knowing your unique situation, I'm talking broadly here, but I would still think and believe that what got you in this situation is a discipline issue, a lack of financial awareness issue, a basic management leadership issue. Those things are all going to need to be addressed and restructured, regardless of whether or not you intend to negotiate your way out of a problematic debt situation without the need for bankruptcy, or if you intend to use bankruptcy and continue thereafter. Many of the situations that we encounter is simply a lack of financial awareness problem. So the companies, the small business owners and family-owned businesses that find their way to PRG services got to this fork in the road of, should I file for bankruptcy or can I avoid it? Not because their business was inherently weak, but because their financial awareness was non-existent. So whether or not you decide to file bankruptcy or not, those problems are gonna have to be addressed. So what I wanna emphasize here is that if you start addressing them now, before you make the decision to file bankruptcy, you might find that you can see the forest through the trees. Maybe you take a more rigorous approach to understanding your profit and loss. Maybe you take a more rigorous approach to studying your accounts payable cycle. And when you start to do that, and then incorporate a little bit of debt settlement, strategic debt negotiation into it, you might start to see some of the stress melt off of your shoulders. And that's the same stress that's causing you to have that existential question, should I file bankruptcy or should I not? And whether you start to do it now before you file bankruptcy, or you learn those principles at some other point in the future when you try to restart your business, I'm gonna just let you know a little bit of truth. It's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be easy, but nothing in life that's highly rewarding is supposed to be fun and supposed to be easy. So when emotions run high, strategy must run higher. So if you're facing the question as to whether you're gonna need to file corporate bankruptcy or just fight through the issues, two truths are evident. One, you must restore financial clarity in your business. And two, it might be beneficial to attempt to settle your debt directly with your creditors. You might actually be pleasantly surprised at how far you can go with that strategy. So one critical step before you basically do anything, whether it's a do-it-yourself, remain outside of bankruptcy, or you do decide to file bankruptcy, is to take inventory of all of your debts and write down on a piece of paper or a spreadsheet each of your creditors and write down some of their individual characteristics, how much you owe, whether it's secured or not, whether whatever it's secured by is critical to you. For example, what if it's secured with a really important tractor that you cannot live without to run your business? Well, put a little mark next to that one because that one's important. If it's secured by something that you're like, that thing, I don't really use it anymore. And if you lost it, it wouldn't greatly affect your ability to earn cash flow, then maybe it's lower on the rankings list. Another element that you should take consideration of is whether or not there's personal guarantees, because regardless of what happens with your corporation, creditors or debts, I should say rather, with personal guarantees will follow you individually and they'll need to be dealt with. Once you have that inventory list, it will help you prioritize your restructuring strategy if you decide to settle your way out of the matter yourself or with, say, a third-party professional like PRG. It will also help you if you decide that corporate bankruptcy is the right move for you when you go and have a consultation with an attorney. You come prepared with that list, it will make your meeting with them much more productive. So if you decide to settle your own debt and avoid corporate bankruptcy, you can either DIY or you can hire a third party. Here at Pacific Resources Group, under our subsidiary Simple Settle, we've helped thousands of business owners settle their debts, develop a strategy, and negotiate with their creditors something that both parties could agree to based on the underlying factors. And we've seen countless times where the business owner was able to regain control of their business. If you do decide to file corporate bankruptcy, just know there are certain long-term implications. One example might be damage to your credit score. I'm not going to go into all the possible long-term implications. You should discuss that with an attorney. But I am going to talk about one kind of practical business aspect to it. If you do decide to file, you, depending on the type of filing, again, speak with an attorney, but you will cede control to a trustee. And it's possible, not in all circumstances, but it's possible that you may have to sell or liquidate critical assets that your business relies on today to generate cash flow. So just take, for instance, a fleet of trucks or a critical piece of property or, really anything, just critical equipment and assets that might not be easily replaceable if your intention is to restart the same business after the fact. So just something to consider. A lot of people that we've seen and spoken to, their intention is to file bankruptcy and just start over again. Okay, great. Maybe that works for some businesses that don't have a lot of heavy capital needs. So if you think that that's a trap that you could potentially find yourself in, then you may want to try to restore financial discipline to your company now in advance of filing a corporate bankruptcy. Maybe work on restructuring or settling with some of your creditors that are posing this existential threat to your business. And you might find that you avoided the pitfalls of possibly losing critical equipment. Now, everybody's situation is obviously unique, so just take this for what it is. This is just kind of a blanket statement. Be aware of the potential challenges that you might face if your intention is to rebuild your business post bankruptcy. And that's just one of several other things that could be considered a pitfall in that process. Again, it might be the right thing for you. I'm not saying that it's not, but just have a more global awareness to it. And I think that's also the point of this video, is to help you relax, think, take inventory, and then if you determine that it's the right thing, then you'll go into it with a more clear mind. And for increasing your financial clarity and your financial awareness, you will need to find a good accounting team or bookkeeping team. We also provide that service at Pacific Resources Group under our Simple P&L subsidiary. And what differentiates us from other bookkeeping firms and accounting firms is that we really strive to deliver that awareness and connect with our clients through education, through just discussion, so that you as a CEO could avoid the traps in the future that might have landed you in a hot spot today. So the good news is, in all of this, is you are not alone. There's millions of small business owners facing the same issue. And the even better news is you can get through it. You just need to put on those boxing gloves and get ready for the fight. And if you need support in that fight, at PRG, we would love to be in your corner. We love working with fighters. We love working with CEOs that are ready to put their head down and tackle these problems, because there are solutions, and we have a lot of the answers. We have a lot of those solutions for you, but you as the owner have to bring the fight. And in working together, I've seen it countless times where we have resurrected businesses and restored sanity to the business. And I've seen owners just feel so much more relief. And that's one of the greatest feelings that I have in my life, is to see our clients take back control, reduce the stress, and have their business work for them and not have them be a slave to their business. For more information, visit www.packrg.com. Also, we just dropped a blog regarding this topic, whether or not you should file corporate bankruptcy, on our website as well. If you have any questions regarding this topic, drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.